Hello and welcome to Sikkim Podcast. I am Chiring Eden.
And I'm Saif Ali Khan. Yes. No. I'm still Pema Wangchuk. This was in response to a comment left by someone in our last video on Sikkim Comments.
Yeah, one of you have said that he sounds like
Yes.
Saif Ali Khan.
Yes.
And
I'll have to channel some other stars now for next time.
and I've been teasing him that he should do a wow once on Sikkim Podcast. And yeah, so we thought we would open today's episode with the highway being open and now the traffic jams beginning. All of us have experienced, I think, this traffic jams on the highway. I think we are seeing a lot of tourists also coming in now. I think because of the highway being open, the weather clearing up, the rains are like abating. So I think because of that, we have. Yesterday I saw this huge group of tourists near the DC court.
Finally.
Yeah.
Finally. And like that just goes to say how something as basic as a convenient road can boost the economy. I mean, tourism is the mainstay of the Sikkimese economy. And if the highway, the regular highway is open, even for 2 days, word seems to travel. I didn't know people could decide holidays so quickly that they hear that the highway is clear and they save about 3 hours of travel time over the lava route. And so that's good. And hopefully the highway will remain open for longer. And now with the puja season approaching, the Sept season, let's hope that's a good one for the travel industry, tourism sector.
Yeah. And you also attended this program last week.
Oh, yes. We were thinking of making it a regular feature of something interesting and positive to open our the remaining 1 hour of ranting with. So, yes, a couple of days back, I was at this event organized by the Press Club of Sikkim.
And
in partnership with an NGO called Chimiki, which means neighbor, based out of Siliguri, and they organized a panel discussion on this topic, disagreeing respectfully, and there was.
There were other panelists. I also attended. There was a political science assistant professor, Mr. Bidan Gole, Dr. Bidan Gole. Yeah. There was a clinical psychologist, Dr. Sumnima Rai. There was Dr. Doma T. Bhutia, who was a lawyer, advocate, and she was a former additional advocate general to the High Court of Sikkim.
Of Sikkim.
No, of Sikkim. Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, that was.
And he was among, and I also attended the program. He was, so 4 of them.
Yes, it was an interesting exercise, as in discussing how it is important, I guess, for difference of opinions to be discussed, shared, and understood in a more respectful environment. I think that's something that the entire area could do well to learn from, and even the world, because the basic thing is that facts are facts, right? So you don't have contestations over that. It is in how we interpret it and the opinions that we take away from that piece of information. That is where the differences lie, and disagreements come from there. And I was just thinking, like, it is so important to be able to discuss these things with people who hold a different opinion. I was thinking, like, maybe today or some other time we will end up discussing situations like Manipur, which is about 2 communities. In the global stage, there is like, which side are you on, Palestine or Israel? Ukraine or Russia, India, Pakistan, right? So all of these issues are points of disagreement. If we could discuss these respectfully, I think the world will be a better place.
Yeah, like I think Mr. Pema has gone to a macro level, and I feel like on a micro level, for Sikkim, I thought that discussion was really good. The program was really good because I don't think I've heard of any such program being held in the past. Because I think in Sikkim, it was brought up in the discussion also, we have that, there is this there is it in the culture itself. It's difficult for people to disagree with another person. It is almost seen as, hostile, like just because you disagree, that you have a problem with the person, whereas it is the, it is the topic, or it is the ideology that you might have a problem with, and you might not hate the person. You might just have a problem with how that person looks at a certain issue, and you can just discuss it. But here it becomes difficult.
Yeah.
So they are that.
So yeah, I mean, I think that came up in the discussion also. So one of the points that came up was that in the Sikkim setting, the first step probably has to be to create the right environment for people to be able to disagree safely. Because right now we need to encourage people and make them feel comfortable with sharing their disagreement with on different issues, and there are many at a local level.
I think a lot of times in Sikkim, in a place like Sikkim, maybe in other parts of the hills, I don't know, but what happens is then you stop. You don't talk at all. You don't communicate at all, and that is even worse. So moving on to our first topic. So we had this earlier, like I said, in the last episode, I think I mentioned that we forgot. Previously, when we used to do the audio podcast, I would list out the topics that we were planning to discuss before we started, so that the audience had a sort of idea about what we are going to touch, the topics that we are going to, discuss.
The topics that we would like to discuss, but how much we'll get the time.
Dependent on the time. If we have the time, we will discuss the recent fire in modern senior secondary school in Gangtok, the mass teacher transfers that are happening, the ban on police personnel, dancing in...
making reels and videos
in their uniform. Jyotiraditya Scindia's visit to Sikkim, the vigilance raids, and also a small update on IPR press releases. So those are the topics on Sikkim that we will discuss. To start with the modern school fire. So I think all of us know now, it has been reported widely that there was a fire in the modern senior secondary school, I think in the principal's office, and investigations revealed that it was a student who had, done that, because he had taken a mobile phone to school, which he had been caught, and the phone had been confiscated. And it was to be handed over to the parent after a day or so, because there was a holiday. Yeah. So after the next working day, they were supposed to hand it over to the parents. But the child was there are two theories, right? Theories as in like two reasons that have been listed from the investigations. One was that there was some illicit content in the phone, probably, porn videos, or I don't know, something like that. I am guessing, because they've just said illicit
depending
content.
Upon who decides that it was illicit.
Illicit, yeah, you don't know what illicit means.
It could be anything, even a game.
And the other being that he was addicted to mobile gaming, and there was a tournament going on of online gaming called, I think, Mobile Legends, and because of which he was dying to get his hands on his phone, and he thought he would break in and take the phone. So that is what the release, I think the press release from the school has mentioned, that he was addicted to mobile gaming.
Yeah, what is interesting, about this whole episode is that even the press release from the school said that they were pushed, or they were kind of, they decided to issue a press statement on this whole episode because there were many rumors circulating about what had happened. And that is so typical, that people would start speculating. I'm not privy to what kind of rumors were being circulated, but we can imagine, right? It's the principal's office. There's a fire there, unexplained. So the school came out with this statement explaining their what they have found out. But this, for Sikkim, flags a much bigger issue, I think, about addiction. I mean, in this case, it's mobile games. Or the other thing also is I don't know, how do we engage with the young, I feel. I mean, these are the bigger issues that are being flagged in this whole episode. I mean, we cannot dismiss it as a one-off. We have all heard stories about kids addicted to gaming, getting into much worse incidents than what happened at modern school, right? When kids are not being allowed to play games, the kind of violent reactions they have and things like that. And so we don't know exactly what triggered the act of arson, but the fact is that it was a young person, a teenager in all probability, most probably, who ended up carrying out an act of arson. They don't understand how bad things can get or what kind of harm it causes the institution, but the fact that they risked it, I think it should lead us to more deeper...
Thank God, nothing, no one was injured or no one was hurt.
Or the kid himself.
Yeah,
I mean, it's an act of arson can easily blow back, right?
Yeah.
So that, I think, should be the bigger discussion that the Sikkimi society should take this incident and engage in, about the young and how we are looking out for the young and how do we address the obvious problems that exist that they are grappling with, I would feel.
I mean, talking about schools, we have to talk about the mass teacher transfers that have taken place, and Citizen Action Party voiced their opinion against it and said that this is something that should not happen in the middle of the academic year. A lot of primary teachers, I think, have been transferred from their place of posting to, and we don't know the reason. Obviously, those transfer orders will not have a reason. They will just...
Yes. I mean, the government has the excuse of saying that you are in a transferable job, so you will be transferred. But this teacher transfer specifically, I think for the last 15, 20 years, it has been a point of contention, right? So every time the government carries out these, and I think the Citizen Action Party press release points this out, that when SKM was in the opposition, they had serious problems with SDF, the SDF government, the previous government, transferring teachers mid-session and pointing out, and it's obvious, right? It is, if avoidable. I mean, if you can, you would rather not transfer teachers mid-academic year. Unless, of course, there is a vacancy for any reason and you need to fill that vacancy. In this particular case, these are transfers coming after an election. And of course, is the government, these are government servants, you can transfer them, it's a transferable job, all that holds fine, but Sikkim's experience has been that transfers are invariably either rewards or victimization happening out, right? And so when you speak to people, any person who's been around politics and bureaucracies and governments would tell you that after every election, the elected legislators send up a wish list of people they want either shifted out from their constituencies or brought in. And that adjustment happens every time.
Was there, I feel like I remember once this issue being brought up during the SDF government, and then there being some kind of official decision that this will not happen, we will try not to, something like that.
Yes, so this comes up every time. Teachers getting moved around, right? And this is a big exercise. I mean, in the present case, it's about 60 teachers, but it's an exercise. So at that time, I remember when we were doing those stories, we came to know that they do not have an official transfer policy. For teachers. Like that policy doesn't exist. So in the absence of policy, anything goes, I guess. But just an interest in the education of the children and the well-being of schools would suggest that either you do it very smoothly, that the transfer orders are issued on a Friday and by Monday everybody is in their new place and there is no delays or hiccups in the classrooms. Apart from the fact that a new teacher will take time to adjust and all that, right?
There was a transfer policy drawn
There
up.
was no transfer policy. They kept so there's a draft transfer policy in place. It has probably been taken in, but there will always be that this is the ideal situation. But sometimes you need to still transfer teachers mid-session, right?
Because because I just remembered you also had a group of assistant professors being transferred recently.
Yes.
I don't know, 16, 17. It was that also we don't know, right? This was before the teacher transfers.
Yes. It's so normally what happens is if the government changes, then you have a huge reshuffle everywhere, right? From the thanas to the schools to departments, everything because the government has changed, right? But this time it's the same government continuing, which is why the scale of these transfers will not be as staggering as what would happen if it's a new government, a new party forms the government. So, but the fact that it is still happening without any explanations, I think that much should have been done. That if the department transfers so many teachers, it should come not just with the list, but maybe a paragraph or two explaining the practical requirement, the ground requirements that led to it.
So, 59 primary teachers have been transferred. And what stands out is that one of the teachers who was transferred has passed away recently. And that person's name was also there in the list, which only speaks of the kind of work that has gone into making the list.
Yeah, for me, what it says is that it is a top-down decision. Transfers mid-session should be bottom-up. As in the school says, I don't have this teacher, I don't have a teacher to teach this subject, goes to the department and the department looks around which school has an extra teacher for this subject and they'll put them there, right? So top-down can be during the winter break, right? When the schools are they're off and the new batch is going to begin. So the fact that these kind of lapses occurred suggests to me that it was top-down and not really a ground requirement. Unfortunate, but should not continue for too much, I would say.
Yeah. The next topic that we wanted to cover was this circular by the DGP police department, a matter of serious concern that they have said is that a lot of police, nowadays I think we all know, I have also seen a lot of police personnel, not just Sikkim, even in other parts of the country, they make reels, they make videos and they post it on the social media. So now they're saying, what is concerning is that in some of the videos, some of the police personnel are, brandishing their service weapons, dancing with it, I don't know. So they have said in uniform, using these, service weapons and making videos is no longer allowed. They have put a ban on it. That this is detrimental to the professional image of Sikkim police. It is highly embarrassing. And so that is this latest circular.
Yeah, I mean, embarrassing is a very subjective term because I might find some videos cringe-inducing, but does that take away the right of a person to film that? Now, if you remember during COVID, when doctors in what was that called, that dress they wear?
Overalls, I don't know. PPP.
Yeah. Was it PPP?
PPP or PP suit? PPP suit or something like that.
Yeah.
No.
So whatever, those kind of protective suits. So no, the point being that we saw a lot of those videos.
Yeah.
And they were endearing, right? Because they gave hope. As when we saw that and we said, I mean, these people are going through a very harrowing time. They are the first line of defense against the virus. And they're still finding ways and means to enjoy them, to have some joy in their lives. I would extend, if I was to nitpick, I would extend the same thing to this, to the cops as well. They keep very crazy hours especially the new recruits, right? The constables and the younger people. They keep very crazy hours. They are in their uniform for almost their entire waking hours. So if they are to let their hair down and find some joy in their lives, in their boring duty otherwise, I would not make such a big issue with it. But then it's a force. It's a uniformed force. If there's so many other things that people in uniform should not be doing while wearing the uniform, which should be banned. So
No, but
this would not be such a big issue for me personally.
no, wielding
Brandishing weapons?
yeah, that is a little problematic.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, glorification of, but then it's the force, right? What do they do when they march past on Independence Day or Republic Day? They are.
Just for safety issues also, yeah.
Yes.
Like you cannot just, you
Yeah,
never
yeah.
know. So I feel like I'm somewhere in between.
No, that is there.
You could allow them to make dance videos. I think those are harmless. But yes, using, wielding some weapon is, I think, should be discouraged. I don't know if ban is the way to go, but there should be some safety measures. I mean, not safety measures, but there should be some consideration to safety measures.
Yes, and instead of orders, better training would solve it. If you trained your personnel to respect the weapons, I mean, not as in respect and worship the weapon, but respect the harm potential of these weapons and to handle them with more care, this kind, like, they would not end up doing something risky with the weapons. But then we are talking in a Sikkim where people use detonator caps for fishing. So give me a gun, I'll probably pose with it for a reel, right? Anyways.
So
we are going through fast, fast clip through
today
these.
I don't know, we are holding back a little bit because he's Saif Ali Khan.
Yeah, I've got an image to keep. So.
Anyway.
That almost sounded like the guy. Anyways.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Jyotiraditya Scindia recently visited Sikkim. He was on a 2-day visit to Sikkim. He's the Union Communication and Donor Minister. Donor stands for Development of Northeast Region of India. And he made a couple of announcements, more than a couple of announcements when he was here. So we'll just list out. So he said the donor ministry will be organizing 3 conclaves in Sikkim. Bankers Conclave, which will be chaired by the Union Home Minister Amit Shah, Northeast Investors Summit, and Asta Lakshmi Handloom Summit. He has also announced rupees 6 crores for the development of a 70-bedded hospital in Sikkim, 170 crores for Government Medical College, and assistance for purchase of new equipment for the 500-bedded Namchi Hospital.
Wow.
So these are the major announcements that he made. And some of it we had come to know before his visit when the CM had visited him. We met him in Delhi, right?
These follow from the memorandums that Sikkim had submitted.
Yeah, I think Sikkim had asked for assistance for the Government Medical College and purchase of new equipment.
And the upgradation of, or the improvement of hospitals, the district hospitals. Yeah, so these are good announcements for a new government in Delhi, I mean, at the center and in the state, so new beginnings. What endeared Jyotiraditya Scindia to Sikkim was his fluency in Nepali, because he gave all his press statements and his interviews and the press briefing as well.
Yeah.
I
just saw one
impressively fluent Nepali because his mother happens to be from Nepal, so that's how he picked up the language. So that's there. He's young, so would want to hopefully leave a legacy, make an impression. And conclaves, I mean, it's always good to host VIPs, right? I mean, that's when your roads get carpeted afresh and connectivity improves. So bring more conclaves, give more business.
Yeah.
That's good.
And you also have the 170 crores for, but it's not just for the medical college, it's also for buying new equipments for the Namchi Hospital.
Okay.
So I think the medical college, what I have recently heard is that, STNM, the doctors are, they are under a lot of pressure because a lot of them do not have the support that they would ideally have in a medical college. If the hospital was a medical college, for example, in Manipal, you'll have a lot of junior doctors, right? Because you have the college there, so you have them working as resident. What they call it?
They have the junior residents and internships. They spend that entire year doing that.
So they are there to take notes, to you just help out the senior doctors, which is not there in STNM. So making it a medical college from that angle is going to be helpful for the staff there. I mean, hopefully, is going to help them get through a lot of these clerical work, or just not because I've heard like even senior doctors have to do really menial jobs or work,
routine,
and which takes up a lot of time. And it would be beneficial if there were junior doctors to get that done, and they would have more time to focus on more serious cases.
Yeah, and having a medical college, I mean, you can't have an argument against it. A government medical college is always a good idea. It is subsidized. It is going to be cheaper than private courses. And yes, and there'll be students, there'll be variety, hopefully students from outside. And and the doctors here will be pushed, because then they'll be having students watching them and handling cases. So every way Sikkim benefits, I feel.
Talking about,
But I think 170 crores doesn't cut it, but like it has to be an ongoing process.
I don't know if I should mention it right now, but because we don't have the detailed information on it. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No. Like this is a surprise, yeah, so long as it doesn't get us sued.
No, not sued. But there was this talk of a ban on government doctors practicing privately. So, but I have not seen a official document.
Yeah, this is something that all over India keeps coming up now and then, and so the impracticality of it is something that needs to be addressed. Of course, if we just walk out on the streets and ask people randomly that do you think the government doctors should have a private practice, most people will say no, they shouldn't, right? Their focus should be completely on the job that they're doing. That is at a very superficial level. But then just think about it. If you ban it, then you're pushing the doctors in a corner, because the whole Hippocratic oath, is that the right one? Hippocratic oath and stuff like that. They cannot refuse to attend to a patient. They have to attend to all patients equally, and all those things of ethics. So if I'm at home, like if I'm a doctor and I'm at home and someone sick walks in and I attend to them, there can be some people who will interpret that as private practice as well, right? So instead of getting into that complication, having a better human resource management of their time as well will be the solution, I feel. I mean, first of all, banning things is something that I've never stood for, because it just gives too much power into some select hands. With doctors, I would feel that no. I mean, like private practice is convenient also. Like I like a government doctor, but I don't like the government hospital, for instance, right? I'm not saying that's the case with me, but let's say if I like a particular government doctor for her professionalism and her skills, and her understanding of medicine, but I don't like the experience of going to a government hospital and the whole process. If I have the option of that doctor also practicing privately, right? Why do you want to deny me that, or anyone else?
Yeah, that too.
So it's much more complex than just saying that if doctors were not allowed, government doctors are not allowed private practice, then they would be totally focused on their jobs, responsibility in the hospital. I don't think it delivers that result.
In my opinion, I don't think the government should have any control over what I do. If I was a government servant, I do after work hours. I believe in that. So if I'm doing my job properly, if I'm going 9 to 5, 9 to 4 into the government hospital and doing my job sincerely, what I do after that is none of anyone's business. I can do private practice, I can work whole night, but if next day I'm going and doing my job properly, I don't think that's an issue, should be an issue. Apart from that, there is also a thing in place, what right now a system in place where doctors who do not practice privately are given an allowance. It's called a
Non-practicing.
non-practicing allowance or something, which of course is
Which,
not.
NPA also stands for non-performing asset. Because, I mean, it's a doctor. I mean, they should be on the job all the time.
Yeah, so that's never, like we discussed once, that's never going to be enough for
To compensate
for private practice, because we all know they'll earn tons of money when they do private practice, right?
Yes.
So, but still, there is something like that in place, is what I'm saying. And
I think more than earning tons of money, it is that they spend nowadays tons of money to get a medical education. So that needs to be recovered, which probably a government salary cannot match the return on investment. So we should be glad that so many of them opt for government service, so many doctors, and we should make it as convenient for them to work and earn more if they want as possible. Because if they were to pick up and walk away, I mean, what would you do with this 1,000-bedded facility that you have?
Yeah, because I'm thinking, when you look at it from a doctor's perspective, if you work in a Manipal, you have junior doctors to, assist you. You have a good salary, right? And I don't think they have a problem with you practicing privately also. So why would you join STNM if you cannot practice privately? You don't have proper assistance. You have a whole lot of red tape. You don't have proper equipment. So many things, right? So yeah. So
and you have the politics.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
So we completely took
something that probably has not happened yet, or will probably not even happen. Yeah.
And this is the other topic that we wanted to discuss, is something that we did not want to discuss actually, because we don't have all the details, and but since it is an important issue,
it's a headline.
So we thought we will discuss this, and that is the vigilance raid conducted on Monday on SBS officials, on 5 State Bank of Sikkim officials. And SBS is like, this year it has been in news, making headlines. So these 5 officials have been accused of taking bribes in the last 6 to 7 years. And this information was provided through a press release from the Vigilance Department. And they said that the unique modus operandi of these bank officials was that they would ask customers to, I think, pay the bribe in installments. I think that's what they mean. The exact word is that they would ask the customers to transfer money to their bank account, ranging from thousands to lakhs from time to time. I think that's what they mean.
Stagger it.
Yeah, stagger it. So it's not like, it doesn't look fishy, I guess, no? So you in installments, like
any money coming into your account from a private person should be fishy when it comes to government servants. Sikkim also has it's a unique modus operandi, but it's also a practice probably unique to Sikkim, in which bribes can be paid into bank accounts. Because that whole idea of black money gets defeated with this in times where, like, our understanding is that bribes are in cash or kind. So yes, so a lot of people are looking at it as, oh my God, what's happening to SBS? Again, just to take a contrarian view on this, it is probably that they're cleaning up their act, which is why all these cases are coming out. These are probably complaints from the bank itself.
But why are they cleaning up the act?
I don't know. They have some faith. Like, they might want to become a bank after all. Behave like a professional unit. So, because it is part of a process, right? We've had this similar incident a bit in the past as well, which was based on a complaint by SBS. That was around the election time, if I'm not mistaken. And that case goes on. There have been a couple of other additions to that case, and now this comes about. So when action is taken against corruption, usually the thing, the response of people is that, okay, like this is politically thing. Are they going after their political opponents? But in the present Sikkim, I don't think that's the case, because who is politically opposed to you? Because you've got 32 out of 32, right? So there is no other camp that you need to decimate. So then the only option left on the table is that because SPS has nightmarish stories of how it used to operate. Some other time when we are running low on stories and
talk about that.
Scandals, we'll share some of those.
And now for the Sikkim Go impact.
Yeah, I think it's she's claiming it, but I don't think it's our impact.
It is our impact on it.
Okay.
Mr. Pema, you had brought up, you had suggested that the IPR department really issue press releases in Nepali as well on the occasion of Bhasha Manyata Divas, or when we were discussing the Bhasha Manyata Divas issue, the celebration, you had said...
because at that time the government announced that they'll issue notifications, gazette notifications in Nepali as well. And then we had said that why just gazette notifications? Even the IPR press releases should come
in Nepali.
And are they doing that?
Yeah, they have started. So the first press release in Nepali was that of the state level Tej festival organized at Saramsa. And that was issued in Nepali and
as well and
shared.
So it's there in English.
In English and Nepali.
Okay, that's
they are trying to do that. It's going to be a regular thing.
It will be wonderful. I mean, they're to write original press releases, like not translations. Original press releases in Nepali. That'll be wonderful to see. That will be nice. Yes. And so that rounds up
the local news, but kind of a local news that takes us to a national arena is also this recent suicide by an ITBP soldier in Sikkim.
Yeah.
And
posted at Raj Bhavan. The person was on sentry duty at the gate.
He was from Bihar, originally from Bihar, and he was found dead, I think, in the last week. And it was found that he had shot himself with his own service rifle.
Yeah.
So it has happened before in Sikkim as well.
At Raj Bhavan. Not a suicide. I mean, some years back at Raj Bhavan, a constable, a Jawan rank ITBP personnel, I think, had shot his colleagues and senior officer. There was one such incident in the past, and which is not rare. I mean, we keep hearing of these incidents where it's more in the paramilitary forces, where a combination of depression, boredom, anger, PTSD, probably these are the armed forces, right? Lead to soldiers blowing out with a lot of violence, targeted against mostly their colleagues or themselves. It's an issue. It's an issue, and I think from this episode, again, it should lead to larger discussions on how you train your soldiers, anyone with a weapon, how you train them, because they can cause serious harm to themselves and to others because of the weapons that are in their possession. And also how you look out for the mental health of your personnel. I mean, these are people who joined, he was an ITBP soldier, but paramilitary or the army. These are young people who join the forces with something in mind, right? And what is it that drags them to this place where they cause themselves so much harm? I mean, suicides in themselves are like a problem issue, but with soldiers, with people who, I don't know, we have put into uniform to guard us, protect our borders. I think we owe their mental health more attention.
Yeah.
These things should not happen, really.
A lot of times we hear that it is because of the senior, they were not given leave, that they had
triggers. I mean, the triggers could differ, right? I mean, and if something happens back home, 100 things.
The army has, I think they do have psychologists, right? They do get, I know of.
This is ITBP,
So
paramilitary. So it's
I don't know about ITBP, but the army, what is that?
the Black Cat
The
division
black
here. Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Deolali, past Deolali.
Yes.
So there, someone I know does go, who's a psychologist, does go regularly. I think once a month, right, and takes, listens. I mean,
Councils.
counsels the soldiers. I think those not. Those who want to see a psychologist, so they have something like that. But I don't know whether the paramilitary has that.
It would have extended, I would think, because it's an issue, right? It's not. It's a. So we, as a country, we talk a lot about farmer suicides. We talk a lot about students and the pressure of exams leading to suicides, both of which are very serious issues. But we don't talk enough about our people in uniform who are also like taking the same extreme step. And it's not enough. I mean, it's clearly that what we are doing is not enough. We need to do more.
Yeah,
these incidents should just not happen.
Even what I heard, what I was saying, this person, once a month. So I don't think that's enough. Like if someone really has some issues, once a month is not enough.
They have to be on around all the while. I mean, can you imagine a fort? I mean, we're talking the army, which is one, or the paramilitary forces. This is like testosterone-driven environment where to admit that you are going through some mental issues is going to already be so difficult. So you have to make it as easy for them to share their problems or whatever. So that's, yes. So, I mean, remember even in Sikkim, we had this one incident some years back with our IRB personnel in Delhi where one of them shot up his friends, right? I can understand, like a spur of the moment, you've got a weapon, right? Which is why even more much better training and also much closer monitoring of their mental health has to be in place, because they cannot be like, it's just such a unfortunate thing to happen.
So like national news seems to be morose. Like from that to another sad happening in Manipur is that again fresh violence has erupted with this bombing that took place, I think last week. They are now playing with bombs and drone bombs. Drone attacks are also happening in Manipur now. So last week, there was this rocket propelled bomb attack on this former chief minister's house in Bishnupur district of Manipur, and the former chief minister of Manipur's name was M. Koireng Singh. So his house was, and then one elderly person who works at his place, a 70-something-year-old guy, was killed, and 5 others were injured in that incident. After that, I think fresh violence. People said like the youth. I think it is the Meitei, because the former chief minister is Meitei. I think most of the chief ministers have been Meitei. All the Manipuri chief ministers have been Meitei. So the youth demanded that the DGP be, has to resign. The state security advisor needs to also go. And then protest march was organized by the youth, where, more people were, I think, injured.
There was a crackdown.
40 students were injured on Tuesday when they clashed with security forces when they attempted to march towards the Raj Bhavan in Imphal to remove the security advisor. So, and now there's fresh, curfews in 3 districts, I think, and then there is also ban on internet in Manipur, and around 11 people have been killed in the last week.
Yeah, when like security advisor, DGP, I mean, given the fact that Manipur has not seen peace for a year and a half now, should be reason enough for a lot more people than just the DGP and the security advisor to go. It is staggeringly shocking that as a country, we are not talking about Manipur every day. That somehow Manipur has just dropped off the news cycles until something like this happens.
In the mainstream
So can you
news.
imagine being there? I mean, I sometimes think of what being in such a disturbed area must be for people who would rather not be there. I mean, if you are an actor in this conflict, right? If you are one of the youth with a gun and drawing your power and significance and influence out of that, it's a different issue altogether. But there'll be so many people there who would rather be in a peaceful environment or who would rather be somewhere else but can't leave for reasons of poverty, for all we know, right? Or property that they cannot abandon and go. What they must be going through in a situation. Well, we've had horror stories coming out of Manipur, and now suddenly everything has fallen silent, and it is inexcusable, I feel, that it has not been settled.
I just last week, or was it last to last week also, these audio tapes were released, and I think The Wire reported it. In the audio tapes, the current chief minister of Manipur is,
what the audio tape claims to be.
Claims to be, allegedly, is heard talking about a whole lot of stuff and anti-Kuki stuff. So it's the Meitei versus Kuki clash in Manipur. So the chief minister is Meitei, and he is talking about how the Kukis need to be, brought under control. They have, all the IS officers are from Kuki tribe. We have out of 10, we have one IS officer from the Meitei community. So, they are going to take over. We need to stop them. He's saying all these things in that tape. He's also talking about this kind of bombing. He's talking about a meeting with Amit Shah, and he's saying, oh, Amit Shah was like, what are you doing? Tum to bomb phek rahe ho. And this guy, the chief minister, is laughing while he's saying this. And he's telling someone, the Amit Shah said this to me, and he said, don't do that. Itna bhi mat karo, thoda chupchap se karo. He said that to me, and that the chief minister is laughing, right? So and there's a lot of other, I think, lot of other stuff in those, a lot of huge amount of recording. Audio recording is available, but they have they've not released everything because what was the reporter's name? I don't remember, but she's a Manipuri reporter. I mean, from Manipur, works for The Wire, I think, and she said it can cause a lot of trouble. So we are releasing only in batches or certain portions that they want to, and plus, according to them, it has been vetted, as in
must have been, and
as an original audio.
If you think about it, the recordings are only confirming what the people have always known and believed. I mean, these divisions exist, and these attitudes have been known for a while. This dog whistling, this thing about how one community, whichever community you represent, is under threat because someone else is doing so well or has external support by way of quotas or what funding or whatever, or how this other community is going to soon swamp you or wipe you out. I mean, that's Donald Trump is doing that, where he's talking about Haitians eating dogs and cats of the local community. It works, right? I mean, for your captive audience, they find these to be the absolute true and a confirmation of what they've always believed, that the other is to be reviled and hated, that the other is an enemy. That is what these videos, that these audio tapes are also doing, right? So, which is what we need to be more watchful about, like this easy stereotyping and villainizing of other people, other communities, other groups, people, other mindsets, other ideologies, other everything, right? Genders and sexual orientation. I mean, everything that people like to paint as a threat. When
I heard that, it reminded me of stuff I've heard here as well from people, one community talking about another
casually
community.
Thrown about,
Yeah, so it's the same stuff, and it was quite scary. I was thinking, at least, I mean, right now, Sikkim is not there, but I hope it never, breaks down Sikkim, like Manipur.
I don't see Sikkim ever hitting that level of animosity because, yes, there are many communities here, but the many communities have also intermingled very well. In places like Manipur, it is exceptional exceptions. You see this intermingling between communities.
Yeah.
That divide is very clear and strong. In Sikkim, it's a very mixed. There is a lot of mutual kind of respect.
Hopefully that will stay.
And at a personal level, people can be whatever. But at a community level, there is most communities are much better.
I just remembered reading this, and I just remembered, and I was thinking, like, so you have the Métis and the Kukis are the main, like, opponents, right? And the Nagas are caught in between. Naga is Naga tribes are also there in Manipur. So I have a friend, a Naga friend from Manipur, and she was there when violence erupted last year. And so her colony, it's so crazy to think of it. So her colony is in between Métis and Kuki. So when the Métis started attacking the Kukis, so they were in between. So the Kukis started coming to them, running. A lot of them ran to their colony seeking shelter. And a lot of them got, and a lot of them were chased away because the Nagas didn't want to get involved also, right? They have always remained neutral. I think they don't take sides. But now recently I heard what is happening is now the Nagas are like, I think they are also like, we've had enough. So they are being, I think, rehabilitated. They are shifted, something like that. I'm not sure of the details, but I read something like that they are also now, not to be caught in between, I guess, and have a separate settlement. I don't know, something.
Even if you are not targeted with violence, but living in a violent environment can be so stressful. And a year and a half of that stress, is like it's just inexcusable.
Yeah.
It's just inexcusable that nothing seems to be happening to end this. And I had no genuine efforts either to resolve the situation. So that's unfortunate. That's extremely unfortunate, yes. So we're done with the national.
Now we move on to international news, and we'll talk about the Kamala Harris and Trump debate that happened last night.
This morning. Yeah, our time this morning. Yeah.
So you have Biden, of course. Kamala Harris is taken Biden's place, right?
Yes.
And she was vice president.
She's the vice president, yeah.
And so what has happened is Kamala Harris is 59 years old. 59, yeah. And Trump is 78. So earlier it was Biden who was being,
the
old guy, and he was being made fun of. And now Trump is the old guy and Harris is the young.
Yeah, the tables have turned. It's very interesting, they've had a presidential. This is not the first presidential debate for the upcoming elections in the US. So the previous one was when Biden debated Trump. And there are some explanations on why Biden did so poorly, his health and things like that. But he performed so poorly that he had to step down, and Kamala Harris had to became the party's nominee. And I think it played out to how it was expected. I don't think anyone expected Donald Trump to come prepared or really impress when debating Kamala Harris, who is a prosecutor. She comes with the whole legal training. In the build-up to this, it was very interesting when you heard news about how she was preparing, how Harris was preparing, and how Trump was, of course, not preparing at all, right? And they were talking about the lengths to which she was going to come prepared for this event. And I liked how the New York Times opened its analysis of this debate, where, I'm paraphrasing here, where the columnist said something like, Harris arrived at the stage and shook hands with Donald Trump because no one expected that to happen. And she shook hands, and after that, she spent the next hour and a half burrowing under his skin. She completely baited Trump, and he bit the bait every time. And so that, like, one fun thing about this is that there seems to be a whole betting industry even surrounding these debates. And so in America, you could bet on anything, right? So will they shake hands? You could bet on that. And there are odds given. Will Trump wear a red tie or a blue tie? Which side will they be standing, and things like that. So, I mean, that's the scale of betting you could have done on this. The other is, I'm wondering whether these debates, because these debates are not official part of anything, right? This is just a practice that America has adopted, which is wonderful. It does very good for television ratings and things like that. But I wonder, so the debate doesn't end with the anchors or the MCs or whatever they're called, saying, okay, debate was won by this side or that. That's for the people to decide, right? So I wonder how much role they play in convincing or in winning people from the other side to your camp. So I know both of them are debating and speaking to convince the undecided voters to vote for them. But in that, I would think, what little I saw, that of course Harris would present a much stronger case, right? But I wonder how much these debates
translate into votes.
No, translate into converting people from the other camp to your side, because that would be the real. I mean, the BBC's Intelligence Squared debates that they have, where you have like the for and against, and they'll poll the audience before the debate and then after the debate, and you'll know which side convinced more people to their side. So that is something that I would really look forward to, because remember, like in our previous attempt at opening discussions, political discussions with the Council for Democratic Civic Engagement that we did before the municipal elections, we tried very hard to have these debates, right, between candidates, which is just an exciting thing to do, right? And we thought that the voters deserve to know what their candidates are promising and how they can debate against each other. But now I'm wondering whether these debates, how effective they are in not only improving political debate, because if we saw this one, it was like terrible. I mean, the kind of things that were being said by both sides in that whole debate. So I'm wondering whether it refines political discourse, whether it works in convincing people and helping them decide what they want to do with their vote. That was my interest in this whole debate. I mean, like, because either way, what happens to us, right?
All right. I think we are through with today's podcast. I think we should touch upon that comment shared by one Keshav Koirala regarding this episode. He didn't watch the entire episode. He's written in the
But
comment.
He's given us an update on
the GLOF.
The expedition team and South Lonak and Glacier Lakes of Sikkim.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that'll be interesting, yes.
So Mr. Keshav Koirala, I think he works in the disaster management department. He has given a few clarifications on this short video, as a reel that we had shared, which is taken from that episode regarding the GLOF survey expedition that has gone to North Sikkim,
which is still there.
So, and in that, so he has clarified that number one, South Lonak multidisciplinary expeditions have taken place since 2012, mostly led by Department of Science and Technology. Did you say anything about? I mean, I don't understand where.
No, I think this comes from the fact that where I said that they're going up too late.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Number two, UNDP has funded a few of those missions. The last expedition before the GLOF was funded by NDMA and SDC. The mission objective was to install automatic weather stations and related instruments to gather data for a best suited early warning system. The EWS, the early warning system, had to be reasonably foolproof considering the obvious challenges of network, weather, and so on. Therefore, the data analysis before the actual planning and installation. This was for two lakes, South Lonak and Shakocho. The one at Shakocho is still working. So this is to
this is the weather station.
the early warning system. What you said, I think this is
No, so
regarding
I think,
your comment that they did not really do install anything. Is it?
it just explains what I said, I think, because what we had said there was that last year, just before the GLOF incident, there was this big event, and they went saying that they're going up to install equipment and things like that, or led us to believe that they were going up to set up these advanced warning systems, whereas later we learned that they had just gone up to recce. Which is kind of what he's saying, right? So they've gone up to set up these weather stations to collect data, to then decide what kind of advanced warning systems need to be placed there. And even the weather system at South Lonak, from what I understand from this comment, did not weather the environment there too well. Shakochu is still around.
So So by this comment, what you are saying and what I am now thinking is that the automatic weather station at Shakochu is still working.
Yes.
They have not installed.
No, so this automatic weather station will collect data, and when you understand the exact kind of weather that they have, then you'll decide what kind of advanced warning system needs to be placed there, is what I understood.
Even that's what I understand from that. And number 3, South Lonak has not burst. There was a landslide which caused about 30 hectares of stored water to overflow from the mouth of the lake. Pretty devastating nonetheless.
Yeah, that's how it was. That's how, I mean, even in a GLOF event, the lake does not really have to burst. Water has to come out of the lake and inundate the channels downstream. So that is what happened. And this is there. I mean, there is very interesting satellite images that came out almost a week after the GLOF incident, which showed the landslide / avalanche or piece of ice that broke and collapsed into the lake, and that wave just poured this water out. So yeah, thanks a lot for that very specific details. And it is information like this that helps us inform and make opinions better.
Yeah.
So, because I'd like to just add to this, because there's another comment that had come, which kind of, accused me of extreme arrogance, which of course I'm guilty of. So this was in relation to that budget. I mean, it's not. So there's this thing where we did the budget discussion, and where I said that nobody in Sikkim understands budgets. So one of our viewers said, "What arrogance to claim that nobody in Sikkim understands budgets."
Where did you see that comment?
So you probably missed it. It's very recent. No, the point is this, that yes, there is arrogance. And yes, it is not literal, right? It is not as if nobody understands. And it's not even conscious. So, but it is when we come up with very strong statements like this, that we stand the chance of getting clarifications like we received in the case of GLOF, right? If we had not been arrogant or disrespectful or irreverent, then it could be easily ignored. Sometimes we need to trigger people a bit and get clarifications, which helps everyone down the line, is our defense.
Yeah. So on that rebellious note, let's
cowering note
end this podcast. And I wanted to thank Mr. Loven Lama for the wonderful Sikkim comments video. I think that came out really well.
Yes.
And yeah.
I mean, he decided the location. He insisted that we shoot. And he really worked on the editing as well. So yeah, thanks, Loven.
I also insisted
that you should shoot. So thank you, Chari.
All right. Thank you so much for watching, and we will catch you next week.
Thank you.